Menteri Rangba ke Jala Meghalaya Conrad K. Sangma uberi pej ke tanat platingka dak bepen pau ke jing skos scam ba ke jing ang note ke sarkar MDA2 pan poi sya ke yok ke kot ba $10 billion ulang bu syem ba ke dai ke thong ke bala man kot hakis number 1 Kadi ke jing pentep jong Menteri Rangba ke dai ha ke jing pentep syakilat pathai khubor ha ke no phaisngi jong ke saw tari unai lor arja arpusau halor ke jing yakran ke sarkar Jala bat ke tanat finance ke sarkar India halor ke kaipot comptroller and auditor general CAG ke bakdoi ke kompany pisa tingka ke Bombay renti Ukonrat ula batai ba ke kaipot CAG kalabo ikisong pisa lingba ke special capital assistance to states for capital investment kum karam jong ke sarkar Jala Ulaong baka sarkar Jala kalay kren bat katanat finance ke sarkar India man penbet ya kani bat kala panjing tho ban penti kena bagi jingken jing dia kinom kata ya ke fiscal deficit lani ke debt capital. Ula kedau bau commissioner and secretary katanat finance ke sarkar Jala Vijay Kumar DIAS ula ya kren bat katanat kamtam hapo ke special assistance to states for capital expenditure scheme. Haka jing batai benya ke sarkar Jala kala kedau jing sungukia halor ke ram bat Menteri Rangba ulaong baka current borrowing ke Meghalaya ke long 9.9% ke balong hapo upur besya ban syem ke liang kata 100%. Hakikan tian jing ken jing dia ke Jala ke kit ram arpo hajar klur henry Menteri Rangba ulaong baka Meghalaya ke don haka benta ke balak ban siu ya ke ram.
Friends, in the last few days we have seen multiple concerns being raised regarding some of the financial numbers that have come out in the CAG report. Consequently, the Finance Department has submitted clarification on those numbers to clarify on the different aspects and the different concerns that were raised. At the very outset, I would like to just mention to all of you that this entire concern between whether CAG numbers are correct or the state government numbers are correct, I just want to clarify that both are actually in the right direction. Both are actually correct. The question is how and where you place the numbers, which date you take the numbers from, and in which section or under which head do you put certain expenditures. And based on that, the numbers actually come out differently. So that's the reason why CAG has come out with certain reports based on putting certain expenditures under certain heads, which has then inflated numbers in certain way. But if you actually were to remove those numbers from that particular head, which should have been the case, then you will find that what the Finance Ministry is saying and Department is saying is correct. So to give you a more detailed picture on what we are trying to say and what we're trying to share with all of you, we will try to give you a detailed presentation in a simplified manner so that it doesn't confuse you any further. And whenever you have questions, you can always ask the questions. But we're going to lay down all the numbers for you in the most transparent manner to share with you and inform you about the facts and the figures that are there. And based on that, you can obviously make your own judgment on what are the actual facts and where the state stands in terms of finances.
So anybody can go to the MOFSP website and see Meghalaya's GDP for 21-22 is 40,222 crores. This is the final number. This won't undergo any revision. And the Meghalaya's GDP estimate for 22-23 is 46,551. This might still undergo some revision, but you know, there's one more meeting in January when the final number will be frozen for 22-23. So AG has used the previous 6-month-old numbers, which were 38,000 and 42,000. So the current numbers are 40,000 and 46,000. So these are there in the MOFSP website. So therefore, the first clarification is that the GDP Meghalaya actually is doing well in GSDP. So unlike what AG said is that we have grown only from 38,000 and 42,000, that's a 10%. But the reality is 40,000 and 46,000, which is a 15.6%.
And if you look at that number, the factual number is 2021-22, our GSDP was 40,000. And as of now, the quick estimates as per MOFSP is for 2022-23 is 46,000. Hence a growth rate of 15.6%. These are not our numbers. These are MOFSP numbers. And as mentioned by the Commissioner and Secretary for Finance, we expect This 46,000 also, plus to be having some more improvement in that, but we won't go for that right now. We will stick with what MOFSPI has in their official website. This is Government of India, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, has shown in their website that Meghalaya's growth rate is 15.6%. Implementation numbers.
So in 2021, at time of COVID, all states, entire country went down. Our GDP was only 33,000. 22-23 is 46. So the growth rate over this period, in this 3-year period, is 17% of Meghalaya. The country has grown at 16.6. So Meghalaya post-COVID is doing well. That is what the GSDP numbers are saying. And as I said, 46,000 is a provisional number. We expect this number to go up slightly, but we'll now stick to the 46,000 number, which is on the MOFSPI portal.
Case scenario, the probable scenario, and a best case scenario. And this is based on the past numbers that are there. And in all the 3 scenarios, we are, we are on track to touch the $10 billion economy, which we have been targeting. So therefore, our target is very realistic, and we are hopeful that even in a worst case scenario, we should be. But obviously, as I said, these are futuristic things. We need to see how things are. A lot depends on how the next few years go and how we are able to work and bring in investments and go with our growth program and strategy. But if everything goes as planned, as I said, we are expected to cross our 80,000 crore mark, which is a $10 billion economy.
Next slide, please. Next deficit is basically the receipts minus expenditure. Very simple terms. So how much we have money from our tax collections, from the Government of India also collects taxes on behalf of all the states and gives the share to the states. So we get share of central taxes, we have our own taxes and other revenues. So these all are receipts minus our expenditure. That is fiscal deficit. So the overall story across the world is that every country, every state, every city, everybody who has finances is expected to spend a little bit more than what you have, especially because when you spend more, the growth happens. So, and that is how the whole world economy works. So, but there is a limit. If you go beyond limit, that's the problem. So Government of India has for the long time, through what is called the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, all the states have said that there is a limit. 3% was the limit, but in the last 5 years, because of COVID, Government of India is saying, please borrow more and spend more and invest in capital. So they have increased this limit to about 4%. So 4% is the limit of borrowing. That much we have to borrow. We cannot borrow more than that. I think the question of government borrowing more does not arise because this is controlled by Government of India. Every 3 months, Government of India gives us a letter saying that this quarter you can borrow X amount. That letter the Finance Department sends to RBI. Only then RBI borrows on our behalf. We are not even borrowing. We send the Government of India's permission to Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India does the auction, and whatever is the rate at that time, based on that we get the money. So that is how it works. So the question of estate borrowing, this was possible before 2020. Many states, not our state thankfully, but many southern states, Punjab, these states were borrowing what are called as off-budget borrowings. Means without showing in the budget, through public sector corporations and all, borrowing was permitted. But in 2020 onwards, every year the Finance Department, I sign a declaration and we give to Finance Department, so Ministry of Government of India, saying that we have not done any off-budget borrowings. We have followed all your regulations. We give a signed declaration. Only based on that declaration, they give the what is called the borrowing permission. And this permission goes to Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India raises money for the states. This is the common procedure for all states. So from 2020 onwards, the system is there. So every state, we get permission only for this 4%. So we cannot go beyond the 4%. Now the question is, if we cannot go beyond 4%, how is our fiscal deficit 6.5%? So this is what AG is also asking, and this is, I think, the main issue which we want to clarify. So what has happened, a very interesting thing that has happened after COVID is, again, Government of India came up with a scheme called SASCI. It's called the Special Capital Assistance to States for Capital Investment. So Government of India said, India has to grow. We have this Viksit Bharat dream. India has to become a developed country. So states have to invest more in capital projects. They have to take up new projects, new roads, new schools, new highways, new buildings, all kinds of new capital projects. So Government of India said, we will give you money to the states. The Government of India will borrow and give to the states as a 50-year interest-free loan. So it's a 50-year interest-free loan will be given to the states. So take this money, invest in capital projects. So, and the special capital assistance scheme comes as one is a normative allotment, which is we get a quota of that money.
And that is a column number 1. So this table on the side, if you can see, that's a very important table to note. So the normative allotment, what we mean by normative allotment is the allotment or the budgetary allotment that Government of India allows the states to take. So if you can see in the first column, the normative allocation for Meghalaya in 2020-21 is 200. Next year also it was 200. Third year it was increased to 614, and fourth year it was increased to 767. So this is what the normative allotment has been. But then based on our work that we did, the UCs that we submitted on time, all the utilization we did, if you can see the second column, we have able to receive additional amount of you can say bonus, performance-based incentive bonus. And that is where Meghalaya, in fact, in 2022-23, if you look at the last column, our normative allotment was only 614, but we ended up getting 1,049 crores because we were able to utilize the funds and submit the UCs and all the aspects in a very, very quick manner. Now, why this is important?
Because it's equivalent to a grant. So, in a 50-year interest-free loan is equivalent to a grant. It is not a loan at all. But accounting-wise, yes, it's a loan. It's a loan Government of India is taking and it is giving to the states. So, in this, as Sir said, there is some money that is given to every state as a matter of right. There is some which is performance-based. So, you submit good DPRs, you submit good projects, you submit the UCs on time. So, if you can see, we are one of the better performing states, especially last year. Our normative was 765, not 767. We got 825 crores extra on the performance-based, based on urban reforms, for the construction of Unity Mall, for the construction of digital libraries in 700 villages, for doing police housing. All these are schemes based on DPR and on a first-come, first-served basis. This year, that is 24-25, we are targeting 2,085 crores under this scheme. Again, our normative is only about 765. So what we are saying is that because we are getting more money under this, so our year is 22-23. 22-23, we got 1,000 crores under this scheme, 1,049. 1,000 crores as a percentage of 400 crores, 40,000 crores, which is our GSDP, is 2.5%. So our permissible GSDP is 4%. Another 2.5% is coming from here. So therefore, our GSDP in the accounting becomes 6.5%, our fiscal deficit.
Give an example.
How much this for 50 years, this interest-free loan, how much is given?
No, that's what, go back. So this interest-free loan for 50 years, the normative allotment in the first column, that is the amount given to Meghalaya. We were given 200 normative, we used 200 in the first year. Second year we were given 200, but we performed very well, so we got extra 100, we got total 300. Third year, our normative allotment was 614, we did very good and we got additional 435 crores, total went to 1,049 crores. Last year, we were given 765 crores. We did well, we got extra 825 and total of 1,293. So we are one of the highest beneficiaries actually of this particular scheme. And as mentioned by Commissioner Secretary, we don't have to pay the interest for this. So, you know, this is going to be the principal amount. After 50 years, we'll have to repay back. So AG is not wrong in what they're doing. It's just that this number should not technically be under our debt, our fiscal deficit numbers. But then AG was instructed to do it. And just to share with you, this issue has been raised with Government of India. And Government of India, in fact, yesterday, Commissioner Secretary had a meeting at Finance Department. And this issue has been raised. Finance Ministry has taken cognizance of this. And they have asked us to write a letter, which they're then going to take up with the AG to ensure that in the future, this number should not come under our fiscal deficit or even the debt category.
Habatin, page bahagi kishab, kashab plus F.
Ka plus F?
Hakabam bangibam, dunaki eki bataye kamet. Namar kata, habathiru atau kau kamlu ka umpnyang kadut, page ya kashab plus F haka jingsom. Yaki nutrient kumki vitamin bat ka ayan la icon diat bada ka bathau bha kam kta ka dur jingki marbam ka jing mat lani ka rukom shed yaki balehi banai kita ka don ka we ka jing mentoy ba kongsan ka kot ka kia ka nutrition ba khambha ka jing im ba khambha pendon kam daki marbam badon ka sharp plus F menta kasni
Lawan Ra Shafi Lingba ko office jong Commissionerate of Food Safety Meghalaya.